Today, I wanted to talk about the 5 things I wish I had known before I decided to become a musician. I hope that this will be something that's helpful to people who are deciding to become a musician, but also it will be of value to people who are just music lovers and people who are already embarking on their musical careers. Please stay to the end because the 5th thing is the most important. You don't want to miss that. And I also want to have your thoughts too on all these ideas. The first thing I'd wish I'd known before I decided to become a professional musician was how to practice. And there are 3 parts to this. The first part was the economy of practicing. What do I mean? Well, ever since high school, when I decided to become a musician around end of ninth, 10th grade, I started to practice a lot. When I say a lot, I mean truly a lot. I would practice 5 or 6 hours, sometimes skipping homework. Don't skip homework, kids. And I would do this all the way through college and into grad school. But in grad school, I met my teacher, Colin Carr, and the first thing he had me do was to practice for him. He said, "Go ahead, just practice for 10 minutes. He started a timer. He let me practice for a while. And then he stopped me and he said, "I think you're horribly inefficient when you practice." So he showed me how to practice. And he asked me, "How long do you practice each day?" And I said, "Well, I do at least 6 hours a day. And of course, that's in addition to the chamber music coachings, the orchestra rehearsals, and the music theory and composition, all that stuff. Basically, I have a cello in my hand all day." He said, "You practice 6 hours a day? That's terrible. We need to, by the end of the semester, get you down to 4 hours." So he was the one who taught me how to practice with economy. So I would practice hard but smart. Both are needed. The other part to this is how to practice in a way that doesn't hurt. So I did get a case of tendonitis in college, and I saw an acupuncturist, and I did some Alexander technique. And over time, I learned how to play correctly. I was sort of fighting against my cello, and then I learned how to play with my cello. And as I teach now, I make sure that I address both of the things I've talked to you so far about: the correct way to play with no tension, and also the way to play that's more efficient, no matter how much you play. Boy, I sure wish I knew those things way back in ninth grade. The other part about practicing is what I learned from my great teacher, David Finkel, with whom I studied in my undergraduate years. He showed me how to make etudes for the piece of music that I'm playing. Up until that time, I thought you have technique, which is your thirds, scales, octaves, arpeggios, and then I thought you had etudes, which are the traditional etudes, and then you had your music. But he said, you have technical challenges in the music, you take those and you make etudes out of them. So you have a direct focus in on the music that you're doing. And I'm eternally thankful to him for that, as well as many, many other things. So that's those 3 things: the way of practicing to be economical, to play physically correctly, and also to make etudes. That's the first thing I wish I'd known. Okay, so the second thing I wish I'd known before I decided to become a musician is what the music world is like if you select it for a career in music. You see, this is pretty typical, but in high school, I just thought you were either a major soloist like Yo-Yo Ma or you fail. And of course, I got a more nuanced view as I went along. So I'm going to tell you this now so you understand. It's like any field. There are many, many levels. I'm obviously not as famous as Yo-Yo Ma. I'm not as good as Yo-Yo Ma, but I am a professional musician. So what do? I have taught in 4-year colleges, in 2-year colleges. I teach private lessons. That's another good way of earning a living. I also have a chamber group. I have the Gemini Piano Trio I play in. We played in America and in Taiwan and Southeast Asia. And this sort of a life is quite typical and quite interesting and fulfilling for many musicians, where you have many different aspects. And I'm doing this YouTube channel. I hope that this blooms and blossoms. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It'll help with that. But yeah, there's many different levels. It's funny that we don't apply that to music. We think you're either super famous or you're nothing. But you think many professions are like this. So there are many different levels, and there's many different ways of being happy. And this is only in the performance area. There are many other areas you can be in. which leads me to the third thing that I wish I had known before I decided to become a musician. And that is, there are many, many types of careers as a professional musician. There's the performance stuff that I talked about. That's what I do. But there's also music education, like you can teach in K through 12. There's also music production. There's composition. There's music therapy, which is very popular these days. It combines traditional psychological therapy along with some element of music. It could be as simple as just playing a guitar in a hospital for patients, to doing full-blown therapy sessions involving music, and to use music to help people with other psychological challenges. And it's interesting field. And there's many, many other careers in music, and I certainly didn't know anything about when I was in ninth grade. I wish I'd known that. And for those of you who are thinking about becoming a musician, it's really good to look these up online and see what sort of things you can do, because maybe performance or even teaching isn't your thing, and that's okay. There's a lot of other things you can do. It's also really good for the general public to know about all these different professions within music, which is another reason I'm doing this video, because I think there's a general perception that it's easy to be a musician, and I'm here to tell you it is not easy. When I got my doctoral degree, I had to do a dissertation, I had to do a defense, I had 2 48-hour comprehensive exams, I had 2 language proficiency exams, and of course, you already know about all the practicing I had to do. There's performing in front of people, and then there's just the rigor of music history, musicology, music theory, composition, fugue writing, you name it. It is a very rigorous career to follow, but the path that you follow can vary greatly. For example, in Southern Methodist University, for your undergraduate, it's a 5-year degree. You end up with 2 bachelor's degrees in music and in psychology, and then you go for a master's in music therapy. So there are so many different possibilities and so fascinating. And now, here's the fourth thing I wish I'd known before I decided to become a musician back when I was in ninth grade. And this is the second most important. The most important is coming up, but this is really important. And that is to understand that music has its scientific elements, but it's an art. It's very hard not to be affected by the judgment, by how people judge you. And I'll tell you why. There are these objective pieces like, are you playing in tune? Are you playing in tempo? Are you following the indications? Are you just playing your instrument well? Are you singing well if you're a singer? But when you're a young musician, in your teens or in your 20s, you are in an environment where you get to meet and hear these great performers and teachers, and they're basically like Moses handing down the law, and you think it just simply must be done that way. And then there are competitions you attend, and there are reviewers, and it's very hard. It's very hard to find your own voice in that sort of environment. Maybe it is something that you have to go through, but even so, I want you guys to know that once you have all the technical aspects of everything down, and you have your historical knowledge and your stylistic knowledge, and you understand how people have played throughout the years, then I think it's important, not just fine, but important for you to play how you want to play. As long as you're approaching a piece with sincerity. Now that means at first trying to do what the composer intended by looking at the markings or by looking at the historical background, and then fashioning your own delivery of that performance based on your knowledge and your sincere approach to it. Now, I know I've said in previous videos, with certain composers such as Beethoven, 90% of it is really making sure you're following what he wrote. Yes, but it's that 10% which really separates you from AI or a robot or something like that, or simply becoming a recording copy of your teacher or of another famous performer. Just please know, even if you go in and play for an audition or for a competition and the judges don't like the way you play, as long as you prepared well, you're technically solid, and you played with sincerity and honesty, I really believe that's incredibly important. And in the end, it will serve you much better than just trying to please other people, okay? Because the way you're playing is sincere, and it's you. So that's the fourth thing I wish I knew long ago when I decided to become a musician. Here comes the fifth thing. The fifth thing, and the most important thing I wish I knew way back when, is that it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Now, what do I mean by that? Any musician, any student going through college often worries about their future. It's normal for young people to do that. It's normal for people of any age to do that, of course. But especially young musicians are often very anxious and apprehensive about what the future holds. And I want to tell you, it's going to be okay. You must believe me. If I had known this back then, I would have been able to clear my mind in order to focus on just being the best musician I could be. How is it going to be okay? Well, first of all, if you get yourself a good teacher, you put yourself in a good environment with other like-minded students who are playing well and who are supportive and not competitive, you will improve. It's something that you will definitely achieve. You'll achieve a technical level that's competent. You will achieve a basic musical level, and you will find your own voice and offer something special to this world. And when you do that, it is going to be okay. You will find your way. You cannot waste your time thinking all day, or even part of your day, what if it doesn't work out, or what should I be doing, and am I doing something wrong, and second guessing yourself. There's a certain point at which you have to have faith. You have to have faith in yourself, and you have to trust your teachers and trust that it's going to work out. You know, there's a saying that God helps those who help themselves. Well, if you don't believe in God, the universe helps those who help themselves. But the point is, you do the work, you put it in. The road isn't always smooth, but you will get there, and it's going to be okay. It will be okay. You will always find a way. And you don't want to get to be my age and look back and say, oh, I wasted so much of my time worrying about this. I'm lucky. I don't feel I wasted that much time. I did waste a little bit, though. So you have to have faith to know that it's going to work out. I want to tell you that right now, it will work out for you. But I'm really interested, especially with this video, in your comments. Please do leave some below. I want to hear the comments from everybody. I want to hear comments from other professional musicians, from music lovers, and also those of you who are thinking of going into music. Let's share with each other. Let's talk to each other and find out what we can do to help each other. I want to thank you so much for watching. I hope that you will like and subscribe. It encourages me to make more of these. And please check out my other videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.